Hi, this is Emily of Beauties and Headcanons. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Bryce Burge, host of Your Soccer Passport here on Public House Media. After this episode, come join us on a trip around the soccer world as we discuss club and country every Tuesday. Stamp your soccer passport by subscribing on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your Public House Media podcasts. And thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from Philippians 4:9. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Good morning and welcome to Verse of the Day, presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. I'm thrilled that you're here for today's episode. A quick reminder for you, Verse of the Day is available for streaming anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever your favorite podcast platform might be. I can't speak this Friday morning. Blah, 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 blah. A big thank you to Mana Vision Media for syndicating today's episode on Mana FM in Budapest, Hungary. If you've not checked out their station or website, you can visit manafm.hu. Let's embrace what God has to say to us today. You each have a very specific set of skills, and not to quote Liam Neeson, you have a very specific set of skills, but you do, and they're all given to you by God. Do you know what those skills are? Do you know what you're good at? For me, I have been toying with what my skills are for a long time, and I've really just probably the last 6 years, it's probably why I got into broadcasting, got into the fact that I feel like God has given me this great skill to speak, to communicate, to paint the picture of what is going on, and to have the confidence to do that. Something that so many people are terrified to do is speak in front of crowds, or speak even just to a small group of people, or host a show. And God has put this calmness in my heart that I can do that, and I can feel so comfortable and so in my element when I do that. Now, many of you are probably sitting there going, nope, it's not me, can't do it. I hate even giving a presentation in class. That's terrifying. I can barely even speak to my family or speak to just a group of my friends. But that's okay. Not all of us have the same gifts and talents. My wife is incredibly skilled when it comes to so many different ways that she has just been given by God. But my question to you is, what have you been given by God, and what are you actually using of those gifts, talents, and abilities that have been bestowed upon you? See, we're called to use our abilities for God's glory. We're called to go into all the nations and spread the word of Christ in whatever way we are capable of doing so. We often say this on the show, you might be the only Bible somebody ever reads. And people are like, well, I'm a person, how can somebody read me? I'm not a book. But if you say that you're a Christian and you're outwardly expressive, that is where it is so important for us to focus on what we're good at. When you take those tests in high school or college, those career aptitude tests, or you figure out, what am I good at? What are my abilities? What are my skills? But then you talk about, what are my natural born abilities? Because you hear about that sometimes. People are natural born leaders, or he's a natural athlete. She's a natural this. He's a natural that. A natural dancer, a natural singer. Those are all given to us. Those are all given to us by God. And then you've got those people that are just bookworms, like my brother Seth. He loves to learn, loves to read, loves to just absorb and absorb and absorb. And then he uses it, and he's so good at what he does. This first part of the verse is so powerful. It says, whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. See, one of my biggest pet peeves is there's the people that are out there that love to learn but do nothing with it. What are you doing? What are you accomplishing by absorbing all of this material but doing nothing with it? Use it for good, especially if it can benefit those around you. I never quite understand that, where people spend so much time consuming and consuming and consuming, but never giving and never using. And for us, as Christians, but just as people, as a whole. We're called by God to put that into practice. It says it right here in the first part of Philippians 4:9. And then I love the final part, because that is the reassurance that we're doing the right thing. It says, and God and the God of peace will be with you. Friends, there's no greater feeling than God being with you and God being a part of what you're doing. That is it. That's the goal. If God is pleased with you and you are doing things that are honoring Him and building His kingdom and furthering that kingdom value that we talk about, our place isn't here on this earth. We're going to die. We're all going to die. It's going to happen. But where's your spirit going when it's all said and done? Are you using the skills, the gifts, the talents that you have to have an upward trajectory or a downward trajectory for your spirit when everything's all said and done on this earth? I challenge you to think about that today. I challenge you to figure out where God is calling you and to write it down. People always say writing things down can be the best thing that you can do. And it really is. I do this all the time. I make lists. I have reminders. I have, backgrounds on my computer with the things that I'm involved in as reminders of what I'm trying to do. But when you think about all the great things that you may have been going on in your life, you need to make sure that you humble yourself and step back and say, God, none of this is possible without you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I do this all the time. And people are like, oh, this is going great. This is going wonderful for you. Congratulations. I'm like, I'm blessed. I'm so grateful. I'm so humbled by the success that I've found, that this happened, that happened, whatever it might be. It's all from God. God can take it away like that. Just ask our friend Job. But when he gives and gives and gives, it's the greatest gift you'll ever receive. And I truly mean that. I appreciate you listening to Verse of the Day today. I hope it spoke to you. I hope something hit you. And if it did, I'd love to hear about it. Send me a message on Twitter @BaxterColburn. Send us an email, verseofthedaypod@gmail.com. I pray that this verse spoke to you. I pray that the rest of the show that we do from time to time speaks to you. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a blessed day.